Okay, for people joining this live stream, we are discussing a strange topic. We're discussing progress on progress indicators. Okay, so launch the prototype build. Try these examples in a terminal.
Yeah, you can try try them here in the notebook, but then also it's worthwhile to try them in the terminal.
What's happening here? Okay.
Oh, something's going very wrong.
Did we have any Wolfram desktop prototype build?
Oh, that build is too old.
Okay, I'll run a Mathematica prototype build. Hopefully that's newer. No, what the heck's going on?
I think well, the prototype build switched over to being 12.2 once we froze last week. So
okay, so is Roger on this call? I think I asked him to be here for.
Yeah, I'm here.
Where are the prototype builds?
Well, I didn't know that happened, so
So I don't have them.
You don't have 12.2 prototype builds, no.
Okay. All right, so somebody else will have to demo this.
Julio, are you prepared to demo?
Yes, I am.
Okay. Go ahead.
Just open that. Demo. Let me just get the one that we are using here. Okay. So.
Okay. That doesn't look good because it says it's blue. So what's going on there?
Oh, this is internal. This is right now it's a context function.
Okay, fine.
It's doing whatever you expect to be. So let me maybe just say we started this from the job that Tali did a couple of years ago. So we clarified some design issue yesterday with Billy. We are now using the latest design assets. The only thing that we didn't really like about that syntax was it had a very convoluted way to specify what to monitor. So right now,
let's just do the demos first.
Okay, maybe just let's say like this is a function, this is the content you want to monitor, and then you just provide some information. So this is with 0 delay, and you're providing an initial time estimate that is using here.
Okay, so design-wise, this isn't really quite right. I mean, we've got multiple. What I wanted to see was the various designs that we have in different places in the system. You know, some with bars going across, some without.
Yeah, exactly. But the whole thing is here we are hiding the whole complexity of the design behind the content you specify. So here you never ask anything. In this one here, you say, oh, I know how to monitor progress, so just give me some progress. So the idea is that here you're waiting 1 second, and then you are printing the progress bar.
Okay.
And then you can have all sort of combinations. So you can have this with automatic estimation of remaining time.
This is nice.
Because I say automatic, so everything is estimated for you. Or you can specify, I don't know, a current byte count, and this will just say the proper byte thing. And if you give
where's that byte count coming from? How is it getting that byte count?
Oh, this is you're just pointing that to the variable yourself. This depends on the function using the progress indicator will have to provide hooks for that. So
it'll be a callback function of some kind, a handler function, typically.
It will work like monitor. You have your function will say to the progress indicator, look at the variable, for example, like $byte count. And then during the computation, you just set it to whatever you want. And this is dynamically updated.
I see.
Right. So URL download submit would have a handler function that sets the $byte count.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean,
Okay.
there is a question of, do we want sort of, URL fetch or whatever is the low-level function that handles downloads to, automatically compute things and tie into this. But I guess that's assuming.
Well, I think that there's an option, progress monitor error true or false, which you can set on automatic. It will do something potentially with a long delay, blah, blah, blah. I mean, the low-level function could stick its neck out and say, look at me, if there's been a long enough delay.
This is what we have implemented here with Sean. So the idea is that now the export calls a bunch of internal stuff, and the internal stuff at the lowest level, like first create a progress indicator for the pre-processing, and when the pre-processing is done, this progress indicator is replaced with another one. Forgot this error.
Okay, so this is all part of the export video with AVI
exactly
system. Yeah, hey, this is nice, guys. It's very nice. Okay.
Resource data was already using something that was basically very similar to this, just a different syntax to call it. That was the old Talis code. The entities now are not using. Oh, I need internet. Okay, this is my custom build. Sorry, has some internet issues. But
what were those objects up at the top there?
Yeah. Maybe one thing you want.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry.
No. The thing that.
This. Oh yeah. This is basically what entity could do. You just specify. This is a discussion open for today, I guess. Like.
Okay.
What things you can specify, and then mix is like you give whatever one, like total the progress percentage, byte count, and this is just putting everything together.
And do you want to launch a terminal kernel and demo one of these?
Yes, sure. So for example, you want this, and this is giving you the dynamic updating in the kernel here, or maybe you want something with a bar.
Magnificent.
And something maybe just I hijacked this because this has been prepared today, I guess, if I can find it. Yes. So this is a way to tell the progress indicator where to print itself, because you may want to replace some existing indicator. So this way we have a loop that prints two inner indicators over each other, and then it goes back to the outer indicator.
I see.
So this is basically how to have nested function calls that they don't pollute the space either in the terminal or in the notebook.
I see. So in other words, there's one case that you might want is always paint into the same progress indicator.
And not really might want, because the resource system is already using this. And then the fact that the entity framework is not using this causes the cell to go away and reappear all the time. Because you print it, you clean up, you print it.
Right.
So I think this way is much nicer, because
although there's a certain argument then that the default should be to have a signature for what is generating the progress indicator always present in the progress indicator, so you can see that change. You see what I'm saying? So in other words, if it like a it's putting up a single progress indicator box, and then sometimes it's the box is the responsibility of this thing, sometimes it's the responsibility of that thing.
Okay, you want the name of the runner, basically.
That's what I'm suggesting, yes. Because that way, if a user adds one of these, then they could, by default, I think the default behavior of a single progress indicator is a good idea, rather than spawning lots of sub-progress indicators, which then go away. And I mean, it might be useful to see the thing as, a series of recursive progress indicators, so to speak. But it might also be...
If you the thing is, like, if you say that you don't want the automatic container, you just want no container, you can. This is the behavior when you just print multiple of them.
I see. So automatic container just means you're overwriting the same container.
Exactly. So the old behavior was that here you would put a variable that you would take care of printing yourself, and you can still do that. I just thought that it would be nice for the user not to be preoccupied with creating a symbol, printing it dynamically, then removing it, and whatever.
I think that's good.
Can you give like a name?
Oh yeah. I mean, the to do the old thing that you had. Are you?
But I mean, what if I wanted container goes to A?
Yes,
A.
you can do this. You do print temporary of
right.
dynamic.
Yeah. Right. I'm not even talking about that where you're doing it yourself. But I'm saying if you might have multiple things, an inner thing that you want to put out a second indicator, but then you want the top one to override itself sometimes. Right?
Oh, you want to do
if
both.
You want more than just automatic and none. If you want to have 5 different named containers.
Yeah, why not? Why not just have? Why not just be able to put an arbitrary name there, and then that name. And what would happen is it will put up containers that it knows are it throws everything into container 3. Right? If you say container 3 for everything overwrites container 3, but container 1 is separate from container 3. Am I making sense?
Without using a variable yourself.
Yeah, without using
everything
implicit.
Just
say, it's right. It's more like sow and reap, being able to have a tag.
Right.
So it's a container tag.
Okay, I guess then those could be strings, and they will work like automatic, but with different
integers.
branches of automatic.
Yeah, I think that'd be right.
Integers. Yes, exactly. And if it's the same string or the same integer, the same expression, it doesn't really matter. You can have anything there. If it's the same expression,
I think
it will overwrite.
I don't think it can be anything, right? Because symbols. I mean, the case where you're manually.
Yeah, I see. Then it could evaluate and be very weird.
Yeah,
that you don't want for the time being.
I don't think we need that much freedom. A string and a symbol is probably enough. A symbol to do the custom thing.
I don't think we want a symbol, because the symbol, there's a question of, is it the evaluated value of the symbol that affects the container destination, or is it the name of the symbol? I think for now, why don't we just say that they have to be literals, integers or strings? Make sense?
Yeah, the reason why I wanted the symbol was just basically to save Bob's current case, where he was taking care of the printing himself, like this. He was printing the container himself.
When it's a symbol, what it does is it sets that symbol to the progress content. I think that's a good behavior. It's a little weird.
That's weird, and let's unpack that behavior. But hold on a second. We also want container names that are things like lists, because I can imagine a case where you're having recursive containers here where you do want lists.
I mean, imagine the case where you want your progress indicator to be in a separate panel that you've put in a notebook somewhere, right? Then having that symbol container is the way to do it.
I'm not completely understanding that.
Right, you have some dynamic GUI that's sitting somewhere that's not just below the cell that's evaluated.
I think that's a hack. I think you should have a separate variable that represents the, basically container name. It's not. It's something different. I mean, it's something like, it's the container dynamic symbol, which you can set that binds this container to the value of that dynamic symbol. Do you understand what I'm saying?
No, sorry.
So just a different.
Let me explain this. Let me explain this. Okay? So let me explain. The container thing is something that tells you where to paint this progress indicator on the screen, right? What visual dynamic module or something to paint this into. Am I making sense?
Yep.
There's a separate thing, which is to take this whole progress indicator and bind it to the dynamic value of a symbol, so that you can transport it and use it somewhere else.
Okay, so the idea is that to recreate this, we would do container automatic and container symbol XXX.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It probably shouldn't be called container symbol, but
yeah, a note.
Right, I think that's the way to do it. Okay, well, this looks really nice, actually. Okay, so let's talk. Okay, a question from our live stream from Brian. Is the indicator outputting ANSI escape sequences?
In this one, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's VT100, right?
It's lovely how that. Who here knows what a VT100 actually is?
I've seen a VT100 connected via serial cable to our UltraSpark server when I was in college.
Okay. Anybody else know what a VT100 is?
Nope.
I used to work on it a while ago. Long time.
Yes,
Yeah, well, anyway, it's a physical terminal, CRT type terminal made by Digital Equipment Corporation.
Mhm.
It was a modern terminal back in maybe 1981 or so.
Right. So one of the things we've not tested and you'll see this under future directions is, what happens if we try this in different terminals, like on a Windows, in a Windows console or PowerShell console. So that's something that will need a lot of testing.
Brian on our live stream is asking, what does more information here do? It does nothing. That's just it was just the output of the detail there.
Oh yeah, I put it here. But you can have here the one that gives you the byte count and
right. But it's a pure read-only thing. It doesn't on a pure terminal. You can't like put in a hyperlink. That would be a time warp.
Exactly. But this, you can have something that updates automatically. So this is a possible spin-off of this project or like side project. Is do you want to, style the terminal?
Right.
Wow.
So the question is, how much can style be pushed in a terminal? Which I think we can do like bold and some colors.
Wow, I had no idea. So I mean, well, the style string thing. I mean, it would just be style, right? Being something that would work in the terminal.
Right. So we need to figure out a way to hook up.
Don't tell me you can put graphics in the terminal.
Not unless we want to like do ASCII art.
Which we did in version 1. There's no way to.
Yeah, and every now and then we still get complaints about the fact that ASCII art doesn't work anymore, and
computational geometry meets ASCII art seems
if you can't determine the download time, you need to put in a shrug.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
But seriously, I have no idea what these terminal. I mean, I assume that they don't support some weird, graphics primitives type things.
Yeah, there are some that will allow you to insert images, intermix images and text. I don't know how you test for that, and we
presumably it's in the termcap file
and stick it in. I don't think there's anything that really does vector graphics in the terminal.
Okay, but maybe there's something in a termcap file that indicates whether it's possible to do that. It would be nice. Let's at least find that out.
It's not possible.
What's that?
It's not possible.
I'm sorry, you're saying it's not possible?
It is not possible, yes.
Okay, all right, fine.
So yeah, to summarize this right now, this has 8 color implementation and 256. There's fancier things, but it's supported by even less.
Yeah,
terminals.
It's amusing. It's amusing, and I think it's a separate branch.
No, just mentioning as a not really low-hanging fruit, but as
it's fruit that's available.
It's fruit.
It's different colored fruit as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've got another question. In the progress indicator, do we imagine that there's a kill button, like an X?
Yeah, we have a design here. Right now, okay, maybe I should open, was it in questions? Yeah. So the idea
okay, so Brian on our live stream is saying that the new Windows console does support ANSI, and also that there are graphics characters in ANSI escape sequences.
Nice, thanks.
So, okay, let's find out about that. I mean, it would be entertaining to be able to actually generate graphics output, particularly since we are, with Wolfram Engine use going up, there are people who are using Wolfram Engine in, 30-year-old terminal type scenarios. Okay.
So some questions that we put together yesterday. Okay, the first one was the spin-off thing that we already discussed, and then the second one is already what you asked for. So basically, we have put together 2 different kind of buttons that users might be interested in. The first one is basically abort. So
well, there's
right
abort
now,
and stop. Those are 2 different actions.
Exactly. So is
And there's a third action, which is get rid of the progress indicator.
yes, which maybe the X, an X like this, I don't know, but this is
Well,
more
that's a
of
very
design
heavy
question.
X.
Exactly, this is a big one. So I don't know. I mean, you can always delete it like this, yeah. And I'm not gonna press delete, but you can. It's a cell, so you can always do this, and that's it. It will not come back.
I'm sorry. What you always do? You just delete the cell.
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough.
It's I know it's order 0 approximation, but I mean there is a possibility.
Okay. So adding fancy graphics definitely has to be possible. I mean, it definitely has to be possible to take this framework and put an arbitrary dynamic graphic in there.
Yeah, I don't think I don't really think this is. Let me take something like text, which is. Okay, let's go to a simple one. I don't think that there's anything that prevents that. Let's see, it might break horribly, so no, okay.
Well, but is it updating?
Oh no, because it's not a rule delayed, but
Entertaining.
I mean that there's no reason for that not to work like that. I guess the main question is this stuff uses something which is let's say a relative to let's see if we have something preset, yeah, like this, which is relative to information data, which is a completely different design.
Let's talk about that.
Information panel. We keep
Panel, yes. Thanks, Itai.
Okay, the question is, visual design-wise, how do these things fit together? And that's not good. Okay, who do we have from design here?
I'm Billy. Hi.
I'm Billy.
Okay. What do we do? So, I mean, I'm quite keen on the design template on the left seems fine for these pure progress indicators. The question is, how do we go to, I mean, I think we have to, I don't think it's the right thing to have an information panel based version of the thing on the right. I think we have to have something more lightweight. And I think it should say something like net train progress ... or something, and then have this. And I think we've got to carry over this blue concept and thin down this thing at the top. Comments from people.
Right. So I think I agree. Can you actually evaluate or are you in a broken build and can't train anything?
Yeah, no, it's been broken for a while, but I can just load my local version. No.
Just go back to a production build.
Yes, let's go to an old one. Okay. Yes, you can. You can also do this. Okay, so this is what happens dynamically. Let me maybe do a screenshot of this.
Okay.
Right. So I think, I was hoping Etienne would be here so we could have a slightly more.
By the way, you know, there is a way to get it to put the screenshot in your clipboard.
Oh no, I don't know about that.
Worth learning that. I use it all the time. What is it? Command, my fingers know it. Command Control Shift 4.
That's right.
Oh, thanks. Then let me type it. MD Control CTRL Shift 4. Thanks. So let's say this is the one dynamic and this is a static one at the end of it. So
at the end?
Yeah, this is the typesetting of a net train result object, which is not the progress indicator. It just happened to use the same function to display. But
wait a minute. Why isn't the net train result just a classifier or something?
Oh, no, because I ask all is a specific output.
I see. Okay,
This is,
fine.
if I want that, I do this and
Yeah, okay,
train
fine.
net, whatever, and I get it out.
Okay.
The string character is a bug then? There's some weird formatting going
Yeah,
on.
that's some kind of weird thing.
Oh, yeah. Oh, but I think that this is, this is an old build,
Yeah, okay. All right, okay. But I hadn't seen the all output there. So there's a way of generating actual output from the thing, which is very similar to the progress indicator. It's like the end state of the progress indicator.
Yeah, this is what the old classifier information and predictor information were returning. I think that this design was invented for them.
Right, but so now that's what information returns, and it consistently does so in a box of that type.
Exactly. They are not using the same function, but they are using the same design.
Personally, I would be happy to see those boxes in general slim down that header at the top. I mean, just do no.
So there I think things actually produced by information is
yeah, I think that should be slimmed down. That thing at the top should be a smaller font size and slimmed down. I mean, try information of tungsten or something. The entity tungsten. Entity, yeah. Okay, now hit, and no, you don't need to do that.
Oh.
See, I think that that entity superstructure is way too big. I think that should be at least 2-3 points smaller. Design folk, any comments?
Yeah, I think that's fine. Then is what's full data set below? It's matching the same style, but I don't know what that does.
That gets the whole thing.
That's an active button. It's not very clear from that.
No, not at all. No hover. Yeah, weird.
I think it should be.
So we can
greater than.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's two things to fix here. Who's PMing this?
Evan.
Okay, so can you make sure that both of those things get some potential designs for slimmer heading and better additional actions?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So meanwhile, I don't see why we shouldn't have a blue for in progress and a gray for finished, and have some consistency between those boxes. And if we say at the top of the main box, go back to the progress box that you screenshotted. Okay, there. Okay, so I think we could perfectly well say training in progress at the top in a blue box, with a blue bordering, blue top for the thing, and then give that same kind of slider okay, so I think we can merge these designs and have the panel at the bottom be look just as it does here. Does that make sense to people?
When you say panel at the bottom, do you mean just the plots, or do you include the progress time, that table?
I think the progress and time is fine. I don't think that's the fact that isn't quite the same as it is in the other things doesn't seem horrendous to me.
But that it stays in white, or is it part of the blue section?
I would say stay in white, because I think there's the possibility of all kinds of complicated stuff there.
Okay.
It's very specific.
One possibility that just came to my mind is that this thing here could have this function here, the computation with progress, could have a switch that to go from a kind of appearance minimal, which is this one, and a full appearance where each key that you specify is expanded like this.
Yeah, it's possible. I think that might be overkill, but it's possible.
Right. So Giulio, do you know, these graphs, are they hand sized and labeled, or do they just sort of specify a couple of variables and something auto-magically sizes everything for them?
I'm not really sure.
I think they are auto-magically sized. I think you can specify what things you want to monitor, but other than that, I think they are auto-magically sized. I don't think you can control the parameters of the
Right.
plot.
So that to me suggests that maybe what we need is, well, that's not going to tell you, right?
I think is no, but the point is that I
Oh,
think you
it
can
does.
do two things. You can have training progress measurements, which is the option that does this. So this one says training progress measurement accuracy, and it prints this.
Oh, I wasn't aware of that. So yeah, so that, I mean,
Okay, so you have a whole carousel of different things you can print there.
right. So I think what we'll need is another key of like, you know, monitored, you know, monitoring plots or something.
Panel. Why don't you just call the whole thing a panel? I mean, it is a panel.
Mm-hmm.
And then you put whatever you want in there. But let's go back to the basic designs here, okay? By the way, Brian on our live stream is asking whether the blue color could be changeable. I guess we could have it be changeable. Why not? A background color as part of the options here. I think that's useful because I think I could imagine that you might want some kind of you know, bright warning thingy that something is taking too long. Am I making sense there?
Yeah. Background. I mean, it could, in principle, it could even take a base style that I can just pass to the whatever it,
Yeah,
to the thing, and then you can use it to customize whatever.
Somebody's asking, can you do Laplace transforms? Of course you can. Go look in the documentation.
Okay, I'm not doing this now.
No, don't. Okay. All right, let's go back here. Okay, can we look at the designs, please, down below?
Oh, which one you want?
No, the graphic design.
Oops. Yep.
Graphic design. Okay. So, I think my main question is how to deal with stop, abort, and remove this display box. I'm not thrilled with the idea that you get rid of it by deleting the cell. So my question really is, how about the following possibility? How about when you mouse over this thing, you get some kind of menu, not necessarily mousing it. Well, you could, when you mouse over that, I mean, I think the general thing, you don't really want to gum it up with aborting. I mean, especially not, you know, if you want to have an abort thing come up, you don't want to have an abort thing come up in 2 seconds. If the thing's been there for a minute, then you know, then that becomes reasonable. Right? Am I making sense? But you don't want in 2 seconds a big thing that says abort to come up. So one possibility is when you mouse up to give an indicator with an X of some kind that you could stop things or something, or that there's a way to stop stuff, and have when you mouse over, well, probably the whole box, but you might target that X, then it comes up with a menu that allows you to do different things. Am I making sense?
Yeah, so we definitely need to add an option to the function, which is what to do when you
well,
cancel.
if it has it. I mean, look, it may be that the only thing you can do is abort.
No, yeah, right? Exactly. So I mean, the caller or the person using the progress indicator can always, I mean, the default is that you can just abort it, of course. But if we need to introduce an option to the progress indicator where you say what you want to do when you cancel instead of aborting.
Well, I'm not sure I agree with this. I mean, I think, right, I mean, I think we should distinguish between the things that always make sense and the things that only sometimes make sense, right? So if we have a little, you know, a little X button, which always provides 2 options, delete this progress indicator and abort computation, that's great. But I think like the stop button should be its own distinct button that only sometimes appears. So that's a very different action. And it's only sometimes.
It requires quite fancy footwork to be able to support a stop button.
Right.
Most things will not support it.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is up to the function that you're monitoring. So.
Well, I mean, an example of one entity prefetch would support it because it doesn't really matter how much you prefetch. Although abort and stop are more or less the same thing in that case.
Yeah. I mean, NetTrain already supports it. I mean,
I understand that.
Does.
I understand that. I understand that. That's the only case I know of that supports it.
Right. And sort of, you know, a general import, or I mean, there are some formats where you can import fractionally, but you can't import half of a JPEG. You can't.
Yeah, okay. All right, okay. But we understand. Look, the most common case, the fact that there is an abort here is merely a convenience because everybody, you know, who uses the system substantially knows you would type command period to abort. But this is and by the way, a question would be, does it abort the whole computation or does it just abort this particular part of it? I think it should realistically abort the whole computation because there's no guarantee this thing is going to clean up after itself. That's only when you have a stop button.
Right.
Well, so I also don't think that, you know, there might be a big computation and people might want to have some protection on aborting the thing. Okay,
this can be an option actually, because right now it propagates the abort. You could specify with an option that you don't want to propagate the abort.
Okay. Okay.
So
an example, I don't know whether you got this in the inventory, but when you launch parallel kernels, there's some weird antiquated dialog box, not dialog, temporary cell that comes up.
Yes, I have it in one of the older demos. This
I don't want a demo. I want a screenshot of all the weird things we have.
Yeah, this.
Yeah, right.
And this was one of the things that I tried to do at the beginning to try to hook it up there.
Okay, I understand. But what I want to see is screenshots of all of the different cases of progress indicators.
We have it.
Where is it?
Is in the Jira ticket related to this.
Can you bring it up, please?
Yes, sure. Jira. Do you remember the?
Yeah, it's LCC 167.
Okay, here it is. And is the one you gave? Yeah, this one here.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So this notebook is our.
Okay, let me see it. Let me see them. Open them all up. Everything. Oh boy, there are lots.
Yes.
No. I just open every cell. Come on. Let's scroll through the screenshots.
I don't remember the thingy, but I have to select everything here. Cell groupings. Open. No, not close all. Sorry. Open all. Here it is.
Okay.
Okay. And then.
Okay, just scroll through it. All right. So we've got those gray bars. We've got that weird thing. Okay, scroll down. This looks like a useful piece of work here. Was this Devon's work, collecting all this stuff?
It was at first Sushma, and then I added periodically to it.
Okay. Okay, wait. Stop. So that's another case, right? Is a loading indicator with a spinner like that.
Yeah. And also in here we have the same thing.
Right.
These are we deemed that these were like two tangents to be covered by the first design.
That's fine. But I just want to know what they all are. Yeah. And for example, you know, if we're going to go with blue, we might want to use some kind of bluish tint for those spinners. right? And I mean the font. Okay, go ahead. Search index. Okay. Scroll, 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 scroll. We've seen all of those. Okay, web search, but back up. So that was another crazy one, which was totally different,
Yeah,
right?
this is an old one.
Okay.
Just using the progress bar.
Okay.
System modular is completely independent.
Well, it needs to have the same, it needs to work the same way.
Well, that's not completely true, right? Because it's not.
Well, this is another thing we were supposed to have a meeting about, is these in-product browsers. Am I making sense? Can we make sure that gets scheduled, please?
Yes, yeah, I'll bring it up with Bradley.
Okay, all right, keep going.
Right, I mean,
so those things there, those ... dots, are the exact equivalent of the spinners being used elsewhere, right? So we need to decide which it is we're using. Or we need to decide that when there's one of it, we use ... dots, and when there are multiple things, we use spinners or something, but there has to be some consistency. Make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay, keep scrolling. Oh boy.
This is,
That's something completely different and crazy. Right? So that's a system modeler thing which needs to be standardized with our other progress stuff.
I think this looks like the NetTrain. I think it's a Linux screenshot or something.
I see. Okay.
I think.
Some assets, yes, some assets are.
Okay, keep scrolling down, please.
It's the same.
Okay. All right, good. All right, let's go back to your agenda here. Okay. All right, so.
Right. So I mean, one of the obvious next steps is, once you've sort of signed off on this general design, is, getting all the, the things that more or less use this type of progress indicator to use our new function and not use random things.
Yep. Okay. Should it be a system function? Yes, it should be. And I think, what do we have? We have progress monitor is an option, is it not, for certain things? Can you look at that, please? Progress indicator. Okay.
No, this is this.
Training progress monitor, I think, is the option for NetTrain or something similar.
This should have something like that as well. Yeah. Yeah, this train progress supporting. This is the option.
Fine.
That right now takes panel print progress indicator or whatever we want.
Okay. So going back to the progress indicator itself, that should probably be restyled. The actual thing called progress indicator in the UI, that should probably be modernized and restyled to align with whatever we're doing here.
You mean this?
Yes, I mean that. Right?
Well, no. I mean that is sort of directly tying into, right? That's a representation of a standard UI element.
I understand that. I'm just saying I don't know if it's a modern version of that element. Depends on the OS. I don't really know.
It's using the OS element.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well, why don't let's check that, put it on the shelf. We need to check that. Okay? Okay, so let's go back over to the left here.
Devin, if you can try to get Lou, he would probably know the answer.
Okay.
So what this is going to have to say, I mean, what the system level function progress monitored or something like that. Could whoever's monitoring this live stream, somebody is asking questions like, is this software only on the web? Could somebody else answer those questions, please? We don't need to see those. That's not relevant to this. Okay. Okay. So here, let's see. If we have something like progress monitored, go back up to your function at the top. Yeah, so I mean, we're going to have the thing you're monitoring, and then we're going to have a whole bunch of, we're going to have probably an association worth of gunk about what you're doing, right? I don't understand why that's broken into several pieces there with, I mean, I would have thought we should just have everything in one big association, including the time delays, or you have a different idea here.
Yeah, I had a debate with Itai about this. I think he agrees with you. I'm not so convinced. The point is that this stuff here is options to the function, to the progress indicator function. This represent the content of what you are printing. I think they are conceptually different things.
They are conceptually a little different. Well, they might be different. Yes, I agree that those are things, the outer things are things that are fixed for every instance of this progress monitor.
Yeah, you're not going to have delay key or update the delay because either you print it or not print it after 2 seconds. So, or background or things like that. I mean, you might want to change the background dynamically, yes, but I don't know, I'm not particularly fond of any of the two. I'm not particularly fond of the syntax of this, but we focus on functionality first, and then we will think a bit about how to package this.
Okay, I'm going to have to go in a moment here, but
Stephen, before you go, I think what happens when you wrap one of these in preempt protect?
Oh, the content here?
No, wrap preempt protect around that whole cell, around the call. Yeah.
This is blocking the dynamic evaluation.
Right. We want to make sure nothing terrible happens. I mean, the whole control equals hanging thread, email thread we had recently revolved around. One of the issues in this was the behavior of some of these dynamic things.
Julio, change that 25 to like, I know, 100 or something. So we actually, well, maybe not quite that long, but.
And maybe do one where you actually monitor the variable rather than doing the automatic.
Okay, so like here, let's say 100 here, and this is I preempt protect. Okay.
Right, so I guess here we'll never see it because there was.
Oh yeah, the delay makes it never fire, but yeah. So here the progress should never actually update.
I wonder if we should have a different. I mean, well, first of all, we have to make sure it doesn't break, doesn't do something terrible like hang. But we also, I mean, maybe we need to come up with a different behavior if you're running preemptively.
Yes.
We do have a way to do that now. Yeah.
Why don't we just not bring it up if you're running preemptively? I mean, it's not going to be able to do anything useful.
Well, you could just print something that doesn't look like it's supposed to update.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't.
Yeah, why don't you just say something or other ...
Yeah, I mean, I have a default text for when you don't give anything. That is saying like, oh yeah, I broke it now with an update. But it's saying like operation in progress ... and that can contain only it can just be a string.
I think just say computing ... It's always computing. It's a computer.
Yeah. That's fine. So
yeah, and we could I mean, in a notebook, right? We could use an FE only dynamic thing, right? Like the necklace.
Yeah,
type.
I mean, my idea was to have something like this, where you have your computing here, and then something like a progress indicator. I think how it's called, ellipses.
It's with an E. Oh, yeah.
Nope.
IS.
Ellipse is IS. Yes.
Oops,
Not the...
Yep. my bad. So this could be the content of it.
Yeah, why not?
And I guess we can probably just directly do it here to see how it will look like. Yeah. So this would be
beautiful.
Whatever you have.
And that could be the default if you actually specify nothing else.
Yeah. I mean, it used
Although
to be
I think the thing needs some
yeah.
kind of tag for what this. I mean, again, you cannot specify it, but generally, I think it needs some origin tag, because otherwise things can be, downloading.
One thing I just noticed in the design was this that was implemented in Tali's version. I think this was one of the possibilities.
What
I
does
don't know
that
if we
do?
like it. Something. You see the tooltip.
Oh.
So this could give extra information, or we could just print it inside if we have something. I'm not really sure if we should give
probably
the head.
The only question. No, we shouldn't give the head because that could be very obscure.
Yeah.
I have never noticed that tooltip.
Oh no! Is nowhere. It's just that only this is a design templates, and I just noticed that this one had the tooltip.
Okay, I unfortunately have to go. This is good, but it's going to need one more iteration of detailed design of the actual list of things that are supported inside this, whatever this is going to be called, progress monitor or something. And progress monitored, whatever. I mean, it has to be. It's a little different from monitor, and it also relates to the whole thing about monitored map and so on. Got 2 comments on the live stream. One is apparently the Windows console that supports ASCII escape sequences and is in public beta doesn't. And so one question that I would have there is, if you generate those escape sequences in a version in a terminal that does not support them, does the term cap mechanism just eat them, or does it print garbage on the screen?
Prints garbage.
Thank you for the question.
What's that?
Yeah, if you do that, it will print garbage on the stream.
But can't you read etc. term cap and find out whether you can do it?
Exactly. Thank you for your question. Yes, this was the first issue that we noticed. And so if for example, the idea is like our notebook doesn't work with that. So if I block here,
what are you talking about? We're talking about the ASCII version.
Yeah, exactly. So if I do notebooks false, this will, I just tell it I'm not in a notebook, and you see here you don't see any escape sequence because I'm checking I'm not in the terminal that supports it, and
wow, what is the term cap for our terminal? It's an interesting question, which hasn't been noticed in 30 years. You understand my question?
There isn't one, right?
No, there isn't one. This is just printing strings one after each other.
Fair enough. Okay. So, also on live stream, point being made, be nice if progress bars had a pause button. That is an interesting idea.
Yeah, but I don't know what that would do.
What?
I don't know what pause would do.
Yeah, what good would it be?
It would take longer to get the answer.
Yeah, right. You can't do anything else.
Right. I mean, I suppose it could be an interface to the
well, the only issue, no, the only thing I can imagine is if it's printing some nice plots, like what's that? Like neural net training. What I could imagine is, I want to screen capture that plot. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, but that's not pause. That's like kind of a disable updating of the interface. It's like
no. I mean, as you're seeing it, it's like, that's an interesting configuration. Let me screen capture that.
Okay, so you want a button to screen cap the progress indicator?
No. I want something where if there is something going on in the progress indicator that you want to see, for example, to screen capture it or whatever, or just to write down the answers or to copy out the answers, that would be the case where I could imagine a pause would be useful.
Yeah, you may want to pause the process itself that you watch.
Why? How? I mean, what would you do when it's paused?
Well,
no, but this is what I was
Well,
saying.
I'll give you an example. If it's scanning over lots of files and doing something on them, you might say, oh, I wonder if this is the right thing. Before I just do this to 1,000 files, let me go check something.
Yeah, or printing something. Anytime there's a side effect that's happening, you might want to pause that side effect. Pause the computation and then resume.
Look, if we end up with a menu for what the actions are, we should consider pause, which we could implement quite easily because we're just changing. Okay, and there was another comment. Might be helpful to have an option to leave the progress bar in place rather than disappearing. Well, yeah, I mean, the question is at the end, is it a print temporary which disappears when the progress is finished?
Yes,
I kind of think if you want it to stay, use echo.
I mean, the point is that by default, definitely we don't want it because we are monitoring dynamic variables that can, just be garbage at the
Obviously not. Right.
You can do it right now if you use that other syntax of printing the whole container business where you print the.
I see what you're saying.
You print it yourself, so instead of a print template, it can be a print, and that will stay.
All right. I think
so
we've got
one suggestion that here in your notebook, when you say random image, and you just revalidate that, there could be a list of images you display circularly. For example, you might want to display a clock or something. Yeah. So instead, you may provide your own images to display, not without computing them. Or
yeah, I mean, you can put whatever function you want here. You can put a function that every time you evaluate it. I mean, this stuff here respects, actually I didn't put it here, but respects the update interval, which is also a system symbol, I guess, yeah. So if I do update interval 1, this will update every second. And every dynamic element in the progress indicator respects this. So if you put your own function to generate something here, it will be called, you guarantee that it will be called every 1 second, and it will do whatever you want it to do.
Okay.
So you can be fancy if you
can it use this I which you monitor?
Oh yeah. I mean, I can do. If I put I, this will just be I, and I can use it inside the function. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah, this scenario about pausing.
I sent an email to whoever shared Julio.
Yeah.
Yeah, I sent you an email with a rough design with the buttons.
Oh, okay, I'll just bring it up. You send it to my personal email, or? Okay, here it is. Oh, okay.
Just double click so you can get that full screen, so we're not.
Yeah, I don't remember how you do that.
Just double click it. I mean,
no, if you double click it, okay, I found it, and then just go full screen. Okay.
Double clicking the image doesn't open it in preview.
Matter.
Oh yeah, it's embedded. It's a weird email client. Let's forget it.
Okay.
It's getting there, but this isn't quite right, I think.
Yeah.
I think it looks a heck of a lot better with the smaller heading for that training progress thing. And you're not going blue. Why are you not going blue in the thing on the right?
Well, I was trying to show what it would look like in white since we've already done it in blue. I know there was a request in the live stream to be able to change the coloring, so I just wanted to maybe show it as white, sort of in between.
I think we want blue.
Styles
I think we want a blue. We want that to indicate it's sort of an outer band thing that's happening. I don't think that well, the idea of sandwiching the slider, the progress indicator, with all that stuff at the top. I mean, I suppose that's possible with a suggestion that there'd be this way of opening out the association to display it in that form rather than having it be an inline thing. All right, this needs more work. It's getting there. Let's maybe in a week or so we can pick this up again. There's really good progress.
Okay. So progress indicator bracket.
I have to go. So you guys can continue, but I've got to go.
Is that using the OS progress indicator always, or just some of the time?
It uses the OS. Unless you set an appearance, it uses the built-in OS version as piped through our front end.
Okay. So, but also aren't some of the appearances also using the OS?
Appearances that change the size would use the OS. Appearances for things like necklace and these things are all completely custom.
Okay. All right. So.
Okay. Any question from the other people that are here?
Okay, well then let's wrap here.
Okay. Thanks.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye, everyone.